This is a Bulldog Radio podcast.
Welcome, everybody. I'm Brandon Worth. Across from me, the wonderful Joe Nagy here on the Most Valuable Sports Podcast today, January 18th. It's a great day outside. I'll admit, Joe.
It's a little gloomy.
I broke out the shorts today.
Dude.
It's in January, too.
Dude. Well, I mean, it's only like 22, so I mean, it's not too bad.
Yeah.
It's like low 20s. So you can manage. I mean, you're not walking across campus or anything. You're just walking to your car.
Yeah, I mean, it works. So
I'm rocking the pants today. I'm rocking the old joggers. I'm not going to risk it or anything. I don't want to get sick and have to go through a whole process. So.
Sure.
Yeah, you know how it is.
I'm more risky for the biscuit type guy. So
yeah. I mean, you are a runner, so I mean, probably your whole wardrobe is like 80% shorts.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, I'm used to running in sub-degree weather, and sometimes, you know, days like today just feel nice.
Yeah, maybe you're just warm-blooded. Who knows?
Yeah, absolutely. But track was in action as well as other sports. We'll get into those as well as some NFL playoffs, as what happened to some of those teams, as well as the GLIAC scoreboard returns, CCHA scoreboard returns.
Ayo,
and
that's me. I do that on the show.
You do that, Joe. That is Joe's thing. He's been so excited to bring it back, and it's finally making a return. Plus college basketball. Ooh, we haven't talked about that in a little bit. Exactly. But before we get into the Ferris Sports Report, if you are not subscribed to us on YouTube, go right now to your computer. Go type in the MVSP on YouTube. Hit that subscribe button. Hit the like button on our videos. We're posting our full shows there if you prefer to listen to your shows on YouTube. Hey, another great platform. Or our best bits. I know we posted one yesterday of my rant towards the MHSAA, so you can check that out on the video tab and make sure to subscribe for more. I think Joe has a rant on there as well. Yeah, you have your rant.
I got my
Travis.
rant. Yay.
Spencer Rattler, top
Spencer
3.
Rattler, garbage.
Oh, brother. You'll just have to go on YouTube and watch those right now. But Ferris Sports Report, we will start on the hardwood?
Yeah, hardwood.
Let's go on the hardwood first. So men's basketball and women's basketball started Thursday against Grand Valley. We'll start with the women's. Just not enough time.
I guess so.
It was just a little bit of a rough go around. The final in that one was 67-59. Grand Valley taking nuts in that one. I mean, really, we were very resilient in the second half. I mean, we were down big early on. I believe the deficit was I want to say 12 at halftime, and we ended up clawing back to get within I think 4 or 5, and then Grand Valley just closed it down the stretch. But, I mean, really the biggest thing here, Joe, that I saw and hearing from some people that were at the game is we just could not hit free throws. That really killed us.
Yeah, when you're at the line, you really have those free shots, and you got to be making those. But the one thing that I saw, too, is like Grand Valley was on a 7-game win streak when they came into this game, especially being home to beat a team that's, I think I said that when we previewed this game, but when you go to that spot and when you go to a GV and then you go to have to play them while they're hot and while they're on a quick little win streak, it's going to be tough to, squander that momentum and that energy that they have. And I mean, when you don't hit your free throws and kind of when other stuff don't really go your way, it's not going to be the best. So hopefully when we play them the second time around, when they come to Jim Wink, we'll be able to kind of pick it up a little bit. But it seemed like it just seemed like we weren't really getting too much off our bench too much. I mean, Adrian Anderson, Kaden Blanchard, Mallory McCartney all in double digits. So they were able to produce, and Zoe Anderson was just shy with 9, but our bench didn't really have much going on. I mean, there wasn't any points coming off the bench. So when you just have your starting 5 with your only really production of the night, it's going to be tough when you get later on in the game, and you might need to have your bench players come in for a quick little rest to maybe produce a little bit, and you're not going to be able to do that because, I mean, Grand Valley was almost the same story. I mean, Hadley Miller for them came off the bench and scored a quick 6. So it was a little bit about the same, but, I mean, they showed why they're number 1 in the GLIAC and why they have a big win streak going right now.
Yeah, I mean, they're a fantastic team. I mean, we can set the rivalry aside to say that. I mean, they're at the top of the division for a reason.
They're really good.
So, but does that mean we still can like them? No. They're still Grand Valley, but we got to respect that with the way they played, especially they definitely hit some big 3-point shots. I think they finished overall as a team above 40% from deep, if I remember correctly. Mm-hmm. And then that's just really hard to defend. I mean, we were able to counter a little bit with some fast break. We got some fast break buckets and some big moments, but I mean, really, I think it was just simply like, I mean, physically down low, we got out-advantaged a little bit as far as our bigs are concerned. But, I mean, overall, still, were able to make up for it down the stretch with some big 3-point shots, but at the end of the day, it just ran out of time and on the road. So just a tough loss. I mean, you go to 11-4, 5-2 in the GLIAC, Grand Valley up to 13-1, and 6-1 in GLIAC play. I mean, just got outplayed.
Just got to be playing
by a good
better,
team.
you know. Yeah, hate to see it. But if you want to hear some scores around the GLIAC from the women's side,
absolutely.
Ferris State earlier in the week, we were able to top. No, later in the week, was it? Yeah, later in the week, 72-55 over Davenport, which we'll get into that in a second. Northern Michigan fell to Wayne State, who is near the top of the GLIAC, 56-71. Northwood was able to get the win over Purdue Northwest in a pretty close one, 78-72. And then the following week, Monday, when a lot of these games got postponed and kind of pushed aside, Northwood played again against Parkside, 85-78, and Northern Michigan once again fell to Purdue Northwest in a nail-biter, 59-56.
Oh, all right. So those are...
Hate to see it.
Yeah, the Wayne State game definitely jumps out to me. I mean, they really gave us a tough test, especially down low. I mean, we mentioned Sam Cherney with the crazy rebound numbers. But, yeah, you mentioned the Davenport game was a really good bounce back for this team after that Grand Valley loss. I mean, it's a tough pill to swallow, but, I mean, they really did a great job. The first quarter, hearing from Coach Westendorf in the postgame and hearing some of the things on this game following it, I mean, we started off pretty slow, and they really gave us a little run for their money early on. It looked a little scary, not going to lie, but after the first quarter, we really buckled it together, especially in the second half, and really made a nice run. We're able to get this one, like you said, 72-55. Mm-hmm. But I mean, shot the ball much better. Did much better down low. I mean, we out-rebounded them 52-31. That is huge when you can get those. Free throw line, I'm sure that all the ladies would admit they could do better. 59%'s not going to get it done, especially when we're looking at March. Like, you're gonna have to make sure that we hit those shots. But I mean, being able to get the size advantage down low and be able to use it is definitely a positive thing looking forward for this team.
Yeah, for sure. I think that's the one thing that they can look forward to, especially with Lake State coming up later this week on Thursday. We're going to be talking a little bit more about that on our Thursday episode, but that's one thing that we can look forward to. Is Lake State's going to be a solid test, but I think we can get the W, especially being home.
Yeah, for sure. Mallory McCartney had 10 rebounds, 8 points, and 6 assists. Almost a trip dub. Maya Hiram led with 15 points off the bench. She played very, very, very well. Zoe Anderson had 12. Adrian Anderson had 8, as well as 5 rebounds. I mean, really saw a lot of good production off the bench, like we were just talking about in the Davenport game, the Grand Valley game. We saw a lot differently in the Davenport game. A lot more minutes for the players off the bench, able to get some minutes and really put together some very solid performances. So, I mean, good bounce back. I mean, Davenport was definitely a team that you would prefer to have after a game like Grand Valley, where you just need to pick me up a little bit. So that one certainly is going to be a little nice going into this week. They got Lake State, and that we'll get to those games, of course, for the full previews coming up on our later week's Thursday show. So you can check that out for sure. But moving over to the men's side, we only had one game this week due to the Davenport men's COVID situation. That game was canceled Saturday, but it's going
to be postponed to February 4.
Yes, February 4, February 7.
Is it February 7?
Somewhere around there.
Man, I don't even know. Check Ferris State Athletics. And
FerrisStateBulldogs.com if you want to know the exact date. But Grand Valley, we got the W.
Yes, sir. Anchor down, baby.
83-76 final. Good win. Big win.
I heard it got pretty chippy.
I heard that as well. I heard that apparently our Bulldog fan base showed up in Allendale.
Let's go.
And that's good to see. So
I was going to go, but I had a nasty little headache. And I was like, I'm not going to go.
That is not pretty. But that definitely was a fun game to follow online. And, I mean, really seemed like a really fun game to be at. I really wish I was there, but I'm just hearing the stories. But
we got the rematch coming up early February.
Oh, yeah. We won't miss that for sure. But Lee Higgins had 21 points as well. Dorian Alui had 23. Those guys shot extremely well from deep, a combined 8 of 13. Scorching. Goodness gracious. Walt had 10. Logan Ryan had 6. I believe Walt actually was his biggest contribution was not scoring, it was on the boards, getting some clutch rebounds. He had 9 boards in this one, and we had a lot of good production off the bench as well. I mean, when this team gets hot, it's really hard to stop. I mean, 44% from deep. Really down low was a dogfight both ways by what it seemed like. Jake Van Tuberen had a good outing down low for them. But, other than that, It's Deleon Brown. He played pretty well, if I remember correctly from the broadcast, listening live on 97.3 with Rob and Sandy. Did a great job as always. But
voice of the Bulldogs.
Oh, absolutely. But I mean, we made the good plays down the stretch. And really, we're really just able to hang on to this one. I mean, they clawed their way back, but I mean, we made our free throws and we got it done. So great win for the Dogs. Moving now to, I believe, 12-3, 7-0 the GLIAC play. Grand Valley falls to 9-3 and 3-2, and we are at the top of the GLIAC standings, Joe.
Bruh, you want to know what's crazy?
What?
I don't know if this is true. But on the GLIAC standings, it shows like your points all added up in the last 10.
Yep.
We're averaging 112 points in the last 10 games. Isn't that ridiculous?
What?
Last 10 games, we scored 1,124 points.
That sounds about right.
We're averaging a quick bucket. That is ridiculous. That's insane. 100. Yeah, last 10. 1,124 points.
Holy smokes. I mean, we had the 100.
Saginaw Valley's ahead of us. They have 1,175.
Oof.
I think.
So we had the big one against Drury that I watched, 120. We had 124. Wayne State, I believe, was about 100 to 104. And then we had the Duluth game. We scored 107 in that nail-biter. There was another game, 120 against Purdue Northwest. So, I mean, those put together and add up. That's crazy. But Saginaw's ahead of us? Wow.
I think so. Unless I might be reading this wrong, but I think that's what it is.
That's insane.
Yeah.
Yeah, but we're at the top, though. That's all that matters. The W's. Doesn't matter how many points you score. As long as you come out with more at the end of the game.
That's factual. But shall we hear some more scores from around the GLIAC? 1 second. Got to scroll down. Not prepared for this. I'm just going to fill the air real quick before I get down to the bottom. Just some
positive nonsense, just to fill the time and distract everybody that's listening.
All right. But that Thursday, from scores around the GLIAC, Northern Michigan can't top the Redbirds of Saginaw Valley. Cardinals topped them 87-85 in a quick little nail-biter. Wayne State falls to Michigan Tech, who is just behind us in the top of the GLIAC standing, 62-51. Our Dogs obviously topping over Grand Valley, anchored down 83-76. Parkside beats Purdue Northwest in their little rivalry, 83-76. And then on Saturday, we didn't play, but some other teams from around the GLIAC did. Michigan Tech did not beat Saginaw Valley 66-49. That's a pretty
that was a good game.
Interesting, surprising outcome of that one. Northern Michigan stays undefeated on the weekend. Yeah, undefeated on the weekend. No, not undefeated. My bad. Said that wrong. They they beat Wayne State 88-78, split the weekend, so they're pretty good for that. I think they're now middle of the pack for the GLIAC as well. Mm-hmm. Grand Valley gets a bounce back against Lake Superior State, 82-59. Bodes well for us, as that's who we play this upcoming on Thursday. And then Purdue Northwest and Parkside played another game on Thursday. Surprisingly, I think that was a reschedule, 94-69.
Okay, so there you go. There's the GLIAC scoreboard presented by statistician himself, Joe Nagy.
That's me.
So you can check out more of those games on the GLIAC website as well for all the standings and all the fun stats that we're apparently finding live on air this morning. So
love stats.
Good.
Stats are great.
We love stats. Stats are nice, but stats don't determine your wins.
Don't determine the outcome of the game. You know?
Yes.
Well, in a way they do, but in a way they don't. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. We know exactly what you're saying. But transitioning over now onto the ice, we had a home weekend series against St. Thomas. Split.
Bro, can we sweep a weekend? Like, is that just like impossible for us to do? Like, we play
Seems pretty hard.
We played so good Friday, and we literally played so good Friday. We were able to get set up. We had goals that were actually like look good, like passing plays and stuff like that. And for somehow reason, our dump and chase was actually working. Probably because St. Thomas's defense is atrocious. But then you go to Saturday, and like we just play like we've never played hockey before. We play like we're like the worst team in Division I, which St. Thomas is. I'm pretty sure. But like we go 3-0 into the third period. We're down 3-0. We then score 3 to tie it, okay? And then with like 5 seconds left, we lose the game off just a like cluster in front of the goal.
Yep.
And it just squeaks in. Let me tell you a funny story, actually. When I was tweeting this, when I think it was
oh, this is a great story.
Blake Evanow scored the tying goal.
Yep.
And I was like, I tweeted out, I was like, Blake Evanow keeps the game alive, like get ready for, I don't think I said get ready for overtime, but I was like, keeps the game alive. We're tied at 3 in like the last minute of play. And then I was like, all right, I'm not going to tweet this out because I'm pretty sure we're going to lose this game. So I wait till about like 30 seconds after we score. I press enter, it tweets, and then literally I look over on the ice. I see them going down, and I see the puck go in, and then I just tweeted out, my bad, spoke too soon. We lost the game. And then I just tweeted that out, and then that was about it. Yeah. But if that doesn't show you how much fun I have as a tweeting for this hockey team, I don't think you'll be able to understand. But that was just heartbreaking. It was heartbreaking. I'll tell my side of the story as well. I was coming back from Allendale for our first indoor invite. We'll cover that in just a minute. Got back around, I want to say around like 8 or 8:20, 8 something. I come in with like, I believe there was 16 minutes left. Yeah, Stewart scores the power play goal. Yep. So I knew we were down 3-0. I was checking my phone on the bus ride back. I'm like, oh my gosh, what's going on? I'm texting you. I'm texting Travis. I'm like, what's going on? Like this outcome is not what we were all expecting. Okay, and I'm being transparently honest. I come in, Stewart scores a goal. I'm like, all right, 3-1 and everything. Then Dirk scores when I'm like walking up to the box. I'm helping you guys out, and then Blake Evanow scores from the blue line. And I think the funniest part of how that whole thing was Sean Snead, good friend we had on the show, who does stats for the hockey. He literally said the phrase, shoot the puck already. And Evanow rips it from just in front of the blue line. And that's the one that ends up tying it with a minute to go. And it was just the funniest thing ever. And then we're sorting out the scoring. We're getting the assists down. We're watching the replay. We're checking in with the CCHA officials, making sure it's all right. We finally get it all, and then boom, that happens. The St. Thomas goal, and then we have to like scramble, get it all, the plus minus stuff. Oh my gosh, it was just a chaotic the last minute was just pure bonkers. Chaos. That's the one thing too, is like, especially that game, there is a lot of chances that we could have turned it around early. Like there was, I think like a minute in, Marshall Moyes got like a rebound and just had a wide open, probably 3 feet of the goal to shoot from like a foot away, and just didn't shoot. Like it was like deer in the headlights, and he just passed it off. If he scored there, we would have been up early. And then we had another chance, I think about like 10 minutes after that, where he was I don't know if it was Marshall Moyes, I forget who it was, but like I think it went off the post, I think it was. And so there were just a lot of like pretty simple mistakes where if we just fixed it and been able to like make the goals that like we need to make. And the one thing too that I've noticed, especially against St. Thomas and like some of these goalies of these other teams that have like trouble with like rebound control and making it so that way they're not really covering their backsides, we do not have anybody back door. No. We do not have anybody back post. And there could be, too. Those are the games that we could score 5-6 goals every game if we just had someone covering back door and getting those rebounds, because from up in the booth, it seems like that's just a simple thing to do, but there's just nobody there, and I don't understand why. And I think that's one thing that we got to work for Bemidji State, because I haven't really been paying too much attention to Bemidji, but I think that's the one thing is like, if we're able to get those cheap goals, like cheap goals are goals. It doesn't matter how they are. Like a win's a win. And I think against Bemidji, who I'm pretty sure is in the top 10 of the nation right now, if I'm not mistaken. Like they're up there. It's gonna be a really tough go about it. And then we got Bowling Green following that in 2 weeks. So I don't know. It's gonna be a rough one for us because we don't really have much like guaranteed wins left. We have Michigan Tech and Northern, who we were able to keep it close, and Lake State coming up. But like Lake State's away, Northern's away. We have Michigan Tech at home, but Michigan Tech is so good. Mm-hmm. So like, what are you gonna really want to make of this final season? I mean, you're 7-17. Try to get to that double-digit mark, but those 3 wins are still a lot to ask for. Yeah, and I remember the recall of the broadcast with Harrison Watt and Scott Kendra, who were doing the broadcast for us, and they were specifically like going over the tables. Like 6 points is what we need. We were within that mark from Lake Superior State, who now we're going to be playing here upcoming soon. We needed those 2 games because that would have hypothetically, because if I recall, Lake State lost both games this weekend, correct? Yes. I mean, let's just kick it right to the CCHA scoreboard before I make my point. Yeah, for sure. So, kicking off with Lake State, Michigan Tech beat them 3-0 on Friday, and then Saturday they were able to beat them again 3-0, so quick little 6-0 on the weekend. Minnesota State, Northern Michigan eats number 1 teams for breakfast, dude. Oh, my goodness. 4-2, they top them on Friday. They do fall 4-1 on Saturday, but Northern Michigan, I'm pretty sure they beat UMass at the end of the year,
Duluth,
and Minnesota State, which is ridiculous. So good on them. They were able to play. We almost beat them. So
yeah, we almost beat them twice too.
Hypothetically, what is it? The transitive property. We're the number 1 team in the nation. But anyways, Bemidji State, they split the weekend with Bowling Green. They beat them 5-3 on Friday, but then lose in OT in a heartbreaker 3-2.
Hey,
and then obviously
we beat them.
That's true. We beat them.
Bowling Green.
Transitive property. We beat Bemidji.
Okay.
And then, as you know already, St. Thomas, we split with them on the weekend in a sad one. Ferris State 3-1 on Friday, and then 4-3 on Saturday.
Okay, so Lake State lost both games, and they're the next person to us in the standings. We could have caught them. We're within 2 if we would have beat St. Thomas. That's a game changer going in, because this team does one thing really well. We're able to beat teams or get to be ahead of teams and have the position to beat any team in this conference. We've done it the entire year, right? We took down Minnesota State when they were number 2. We almost beat Northern, who transitive property is number 1 right now in the nation. I mean, we
almost beat Michigan Tech.
We almost beat Tech. Should have beat Michigan State. Like, oh my gosh.
Michigan State's not super great, but like still.
Yeah, the only one, I think Michigan Tech was the one where I think they strictly outplayed us that entire weekend. But I mean, that stuff happens. So, but based off of that, like, we could get within the 2 games of Lake State, and now you go down the stretch where, hey, we can do what we do and squeak out to 1 or 2 against good teams. Now look where you're going, especially if a team like Lake State struggles, or who's ever next ahead of them on the standings. It's probably Bowling Green next.
It goes, I'll just read it from top to bottom. Minnesota State is at the top. Bemidji State is 2nd. Michigan Tech 3rd. Bowling Green 4th. Northern 5th. Lake State 6th. Okay. Ferris at 7, and St. Thomas at 8.
Yeah, so if we hypothetically finally get over the hump, beat Northern once, we squeak out a home win against Michigan Tech. Hey, we beat Bemidji last year already as well. We can add that to the list.
We haven't played Bemidji yet this season, so that's like the one downside.
Yeah, that is very true. But I mean, the fact of it is, like, we were able to squeak out the games like we've done before. And some of those teams get in a slump.
Yeah.
Now you're flipping up on the standings. Now we're getting favorable matchups in CCHA playoff play.
Well, I know. That's what you're saying is, like, and especially if you look earlier on in the season, like, if you just flip some of those games, like flip one of the games against Northern, we're 6 and Northern's 500 at that point, and we're kind of close again. Beat Lake State both times. Then we're at a spot where we're above them. Beat St. Thomas both times. Now we're tied with Northern Michigan. Beat Bowling Green both times. We're above Northern Michigan. So instead of sitting at 7, we could have hypothetically been at 8 if we were able to hold out on some of those games and get a little bit better of a record. But since we weren't able to really match it or get those sweeps of the weekend that we were expecting, now we're sitting at 7, and we're kind of playing for pride at this point rather than actually playing for anything.
Yeah, it sucks. I mean, me and Joe are having a hard time, like, keeping our composure.
We're not
talking
having
about this.
It's not a good season. Like, we're just not good.
I mean, the past is the past. The games that already happened. Whatever. We can go back and change anything we want, and it's not going to change, right? The thing about it is just the heartbreaking fashion of what this season has come about, of like how many games we've talked about we could flip, and all these we've had opportunities all year, and we just haven't been able to capitalize, and that just hurts for a good hockey team like we have, and that just we have to close out on these opportunities, like we have to.
At least we get free food.
I mean,
that's true.
I mean, of course we get free food, but
that's like the only thing.
Free food and a W, please.
Yeah.
That's what I want. That's what I want on my plate. Yeah, let's eat one against Bemidji State. Come on now. It's gonna be cold over there, by the way, as well. So
yeah, if you follow Harrison Watt on Instagram, you can see that his start is at -26 in Bemidji right now.
Bring your scarves, I guess.
Ain't that crazy?
Sheesh.
Just a little side note, like, isn't that crazy? Like, with like landlocked states like that don't really have water, like, so like Michigan, especially with like water around it, and like maritime climates are a lot more mild because the water is able to like even it out a little bit. But like, it's crazy how like in Minnesota, like they'll have like 90, 100 degree summers, but they'll have like -20, -30 degree winters, just because like they're so landlocked and they don't have like large bodies of water around.
Yeah, it almost becomes bipolar by season.
Yeah,
it's kind of crazy.
Like they have such extremes to it. Like that's why Michigan is such like not an anomaly, because we know why it is. It's because of the Great Lakes and stuff. But like that's why Michigan is so like such a nice spot in the winter and such a nice spot in the summer because it's like you rarely get those 100-degree days, so it's mostly like upper 80s, mid 90s.
Yes. So very interesting.
Come to Michigan. That's my little pitch for you.
Hey, come to Michigan. It's a little bit more stable.
Yeah, a little bit.
Ugh, that's saying something, though. Yeah. That's really saying something. But anyway, hockey will be in action at Bemidji, like we just mentioned, Friday and Saturday. Puck drop at 8 o'clock on Friday, Saturday, 7 o'clock Eastern time, because Bemidji's crossed the line into the Central Time Zone. So follow those online. FerrisStateBulldogs.com and the ice hockey live stats, as well as the broadcast will be available on Full Hockey TV as well as on the radio, 97.3 Sunny FM. Anyway, moving now into track and field. My sport is back.
Brandon plays that sport.
Yay, I do that sport. Well, not that over the weekend. You do
that running. Good job.
Yeah, but how'd it go? We'll get there. Hey, the meet was good. We had a lot of good performances. I mean, really, it was just good to be back in the field house again, being able to watch everybody. Just really, I mean, it's been so long. I mean, last year was just a weird season because, I mean, we were required to run in masks. Yes, that was a really very interesting idea, but you can just imagine that, I mean, no people in the stands, similar to like what basketball was. I mean, some of us were competing in masks. It was just not a great situation. But so last year's season didn't feel like a real season. It kind of felt like just an abbreviated season. So it really was weird. Now we're kind of back to like, oh, okay, so things are starting to open back up a little bit. So it felt back to normal. But some really good performances. I believe there was, I want to say 21 top 15 marks, if I remember correctly. That was put out on the recap, and I thought that was really cool that we got that recognition because
that's sick, man.
I mean, top 15 doesn't sound great on paper. Like it's like, oh, top 15. But you got to think there's 50 to 70 people in some of these events. So the fact of it is, like, a lot of our team did very, very well. So, but it was a great weekend at the Bob Eubanks Open. I mean, it was a great venue, of course. We mentioned how much that Grand Valley has nice stuff, and we definitely appreciate them letting us use it. But so overall, final times for you. Danae Feldspach, runner-up in the 800 meters in her debut in indoor. Really well done. Kaylee Huey was 10th. Katrina Drosky in 12th. Kayla Roberts 12th in the 400. Emily Frederick 15th as well. Hannah Brock 14th in the mile. Eva Stefan 3rd overall in the weight throw of the invite field, which is the higher tier. She threw 51 meters, so that's pretty impressive. Dang. So Claudia Wilkinson 9th in the high jump. Ray Lee tied for 4th in the 60 finals, as well as 16th in the 200 meters. Kevin Wilson, a.k.a. Keith Wilson, 2:03 in the 800 to finish 7th. Donis Harris, 6th in the mile. Noah Griffith, 12th at a 4:24, as well as Jake Zamita, 1 W's in the shot put in the open flight section. So good for the dogs. Really good performances, being back in action at Saginaw this upcoming Friday, not a Saturday. Kind of excited for that. So gonna be a good time over visiting the birds at the Doug Hansen Open.
Nice, dude.
Gonna be fun. But anyway, you can find more information on that online, of course. To finish out the Ferris State Sports Report, tennis was in action over the weekend. They went down to visit the Broncos of Western Michigan. Not the outcome I'm sure they would have liked. They fell 6-1 in the exhibition. Overall, I believe we had one overall outright win. Yadek Mater and Ayush Dishwal won their double section. And then I believe we had two or just one. Jan won his single section. That was actually the only ones. I apologize. So, but I mean, hey, a Division I opponent in Western Michigan that plays tennis at a high level. I mean, we're reigning conference champs right now.
This is what happened last year. We lost to Western Michigan, and then we went on a quick little tear.
Yeah, exactly.
So, not really too worried about it.
Did you read off my notes? No. I was about to say that.
No.
Hey, you know what that means?
We're just on the same
Great
wavelength.
Minds
We're on the same wavelength.
Telepathy, baby. But hey, back out finally. It's been a hot minute since they've been able to get on the court again, so I'm sure that they were glad to break the rust off and get back in action. As you mentioned, it is just an exhibition, so the wins and losses truly don't matter yet. Once we start getting actually into tournament play, then they'll start mattering. But they will be back. I believe their next bout is going to be against Findlay, February 12th, where I believe the official season begins. There might be some more exhibitions in there. If there will be more added, we will let you know. But that is the Ferris State Sports Report. When we come back, what happened in the NFL Wildcard weekend? And is there some coaches that have found their way out after leading their team to the playoffs? Stay tuned. Are you looking for a place to make an impact? Eagle Village could be the place for you. With over 53 years of experience making a difference in the lives of youth, there are many opportunities to serve today. Make sure you visit eaglevillage.org to find out where your journey may begin. Eagle Village, where potential soars.
And we're back after our quick break. Now we're going to hop into some NFL. Going to go to the Gridiron NFL Wildcard round. New playoff format this year. Great way to start it off. Some great games, Brandon. What were some of the... I mean, we can start off first with the Raiders-Bengals if you'd like, but there's some great games. Yeah. We can go in order here. So the first game, Raiders and Bengals to start it all off. What a game. I mean, you have... pretty much
Joe
Shiesty. That's about it. That's all I got to say.
Exactly. Wear the glasses proud, big fella. You have earned your franchise their first playoff win in 31 years.
Holy crap.
Congrats, Cincinnati. 31 years. 31 years.
That's insane, dude.
I just keep saying that over and over. Final score was 26-19. The Bengals beating the Raiders to move on to play the top-seeded Titans in the next round. I mean, Cincinnati looked like they had the upper hand early on. I mean, they won the first quarter. For good reason. I mean, they responded pretty much perfectly, almost near perfectly to everything in the first quarter. I mean, the Raiders start off with a field goal. They go for 6, and then they get the turnover, and then they get the field goal.
Yeah.
Then the Raiders did a good job though adjusting in the second half. They really stuffled them for a little bit there, but Derek Carr turned it over on that final drive on the goal line on the 4th and goal. I mean, kudos to them because they looked like they were completely out of this game after that field goal by McPherson at the beginning of the fourth quarter. Because at that point it was 26 to 10.
Yeah.
So then, is that right? Yeah. No. No.
Let me get a quick
No. It was 26-16 at that point.
Yeah.
So then they end up getting the field goal. You were like, okay, 28-yard field goal. Is that really worth it? Then they force the punt. They get down inside the 10. Final possession. They go to 4th down, and it is intercepted on the final play of the game.
Right, that play was like he didn't even throw it towards the end zone. He threw it like 3 yards short. Like the guy he was aiming for wasn't even in the end zone, and there was 3 Bengals defenders around him.
Yeah.
Like even if he caught that ball, like there's a slim chance that he's getting in the end zone. Like why would you not just go like a quick like why would you not just send 3 guys in the end zone and 1 guy short and kind of make us that way? They had to focus on the guys in the near back of the end zone and kind of try to get that guy to sneak away. But I don't know. The Raiders, I didn't really like how they played too much this game. They were a little bit slow. They were able to play pretty solid in the second quarter, but it was that third quarter where they didn't really do too well. That kind of put them away, I'd say. And then obviously that last play of the game too. But I don't know. There's sometimes where you look at it and it's just the same thing of when the Seahawks threw the ball on the 1 yard line. Why would you do that?
Yeah, defy logic.
When you look back at it, they probably wouldn't run that play again. But you just want to think what was going through their minds when they're like, yeah, that's the right play call to do.
Yeah, it was just really a tough one. Derek Carr played fantastic football at the beginning of the year. He kind of slowed down the stretch, and I did find this one statistic. The Raiders they're 4-0 when Derek Carr is playing at his best, when he has 100+ quarterback rating. In games that he's not above 100, they're 6-8, which included this game on Saturday. But there was one thing that I thought was pretty fun was you start off, you want a high scoring, a 50-50 to start off and then you get 4 field goals from each team in this game. So that's just crazy. And by the way, that is the first time that's ever happened in NFL history. A playoff game with both teams making over 4 field goals.
Dang.
Wow. Pretty cool. Bengals are moving on, and with controversy, of course, with that play that resulted in the end zone that was stopped where a whistle. Officials said that they thought it was after the catch. everybody on the field and that watched the play pretty much knows it was before that the play was even like pronounced dead. The touchdown stood. Bengals got a touchdown out of it. And as a result, that officiating crew is likely not going to be back in the playoffs.
Yeah, most likely.
I think it sucks because it's like, I'm sure like the crew, I mean, they know they made the mistake, and it sucks that they're going to get punished for it, but in reality, nobody wants to have any of this happen again, especially when we're talking about conference championship on the line, potential Super Bowl bout.
It's good that it happened in the wild card round.
Yeah.
To a team like the Raiders, who most likely was going to get knocked out next round.
Ouch.
And the Bengals probably will be too. I mean, I don't know if they'll be able to, like, Titans are pretty solid, but who knows? But, like, it's good that it happened this round. Sucks that it happened, but there's no other, in the playoffs, there's no other round you'd want this stuff to happen in the wild card round.
Yeah, we just can't let anything like that happen again, or else we're going to be bored out of our minds. Yeah. The fact of, oh my gosh, like, this is insane. And not only, like, being bored of just, like, because it makes the game more exciting when there's controversy, but then again, it just makes it worse because you're like, oh, was it a real win? What was it? You know? But at the end of the day, Bengals had more points on the scoreboard when the clock hit zeros. So they're moving on to play Tennessee with a potential Derrick Henry returning. Oh boy, that's going to be fun. Second game in the wild card, the Bills and the Patriots. Boy, oh boy, are the Bills back and hungry. 47-17 over Bill Belichick and the Patriots. Boy, domination on the offensive side of the football, Joe.
Yeah. I don't know. I thought Patriots were going to win this one. I thought that Mac Jones is going to be able to play a little bit better. But, dude, I think the Bills just really showed up and were able to. It was, 2 degrees, windy. Bills Mafia. They were selling tickets for, like, $20. Did you see that?
Mm-hmm.
Just because, like, nobody was showing up at all. But, dude, like, I was not expecting. If the Bills won, I was going to be like, oh, they're going to win by a touchdown. But 47-17, I thought no chance. I knew probably Julian Edelman's punching the air right now, dropped a $100K bet on the Patriots Buccaneers Super Bowl, but that's not going to happen, I guess. So, dude, that's just unfortunate for me, honestly. I was kind of expecting the Patriots to win.
Yeah.
Really sucks.
Yeah. I was fortunate enough to pick the Bills in this one, and because I strictly wanted to see the offense play exactly how they played in this game. Josh Allen over 300 yards, 5 touchdowns. He was awesome. Devin Singletary looks like the running back that the Bills have been waiting for a long time and what they hoped out of him when he was drafted. So, I mean, with that offense, having that second dimension on the ground with Josh Allen and Devin Singletary makes this offense even more lethal and more multi-dimensional. But at the end of the day, the Bills really look like one of the most dominant teams in the AFC after this win. I mean, beating Bill Belichick, not only beating him, but beating him by 30 is a statement by itself. But I think it's really... If we knew the Patriots are going to win this game, they're going to have to slow down the Bills because they don't statistically do well when they give up a lot of points, and that's just the way that they like the style of play that way. I mean, the numbers prove it. They are 0-6 when opposing teams score over 25 points this season. So that by itself can prove my point exactly. But at the end of the day, Mac Jones admitted, hey, I made some rookie mistakes. They happen. I'm gonna have to make it better next year, and that's really good character. What I saw from Mac Jones. I mean, the fact of it is he didn't play his best, and he admitted it. So, I mean, the Patriots definitely look like. I mean, just what they proved this year. You have to be like, man, you can't just count them out of like every year, especially with guys like Bill Belichick and that staff. Well, minus one name that we still have grunts with as Lions fans, but I mean, they still put together a pretty solid team for really not having that much as far as talent-wise. I mean, they did a great job in free agency. They brought in a lot of guys, and I mean, Mac Jones took them to the playoffs. So, hey, you got to give kudos to them. But Bills are going to be moving on, and that's going to be a fun bout because they will play the Kansas City Chiefs after their 42-21 win. Sends Big Ben finally into potential retirement.
Sad.
I think it's sad, but I think Pittsburgh fans are just finally, it's over.
I think it's his time.
Yes.
You know, like it was in the conversation of him retiring like 3 years ago because like his skill set now has gotten really just like heavily dependent on just like throwing. Like, and it always has been really. Like when he was younger, obviously he would scramble a little bit, but like now it's like he has no chance of getting out of the pocket. Like, he is not going to scramble ever. So I think it's now for, like, Steelers fans, like, they really appreciate and, like, love Big Ben because he's a Steeler for life and he's the greatest Steelers quarterback to ever play. I mean, other than Terry Bradshaw, I mean, you can make that argument or anything like that. But, you know, it's just, like, it was his time. You don't really it's like the conversation of, like, when is a good time for, like, you know, an NFL legend is still playing, but, like, when is it time to hang up the cleats? Like, because he was way past his prime, and it's like you hate to see him go because he definitely wants to stay and he definitely wants to, like, be a part of the Steelers culture for forever. But it's just like he's not the guy to lead them to Super Bowls anymore. He's not like a Peyton Manning who will be able to end his career off with a Super Bowl win. Like, at least Peyton Manning was a little bit more mobile, but, like, especially against Kansas City Chiefs, it was just tough. I also knew they were not going to win this game when Big Ben himself was like, out of the 15 teams, we're probably the worst team here.
Why would you say that, dog? And I mean, especially, like, the beginning of this game, Pittsburgh was winning. In the second quarter, they were winning 7-0 after T.J. Watt ran in that fumble return. And they also picked Patrick Mahomes in the first quarter. I love the comparison that, that I heard a lot of, like, people were saying about the Steelers, and it reminds me of, like, if I were to make my own, they're like the pesky barn cat that's not yours. Like, you don't know how they got there, but they just won't go away. You know, like, that was just what the MO of the Steelers this season. But at the end of the day, I mean, Kansas City really got it together in the second quarter after they seemed like they were trying a little too hard at the beginning on. I mean, especially with that trick play where they had Hardman handed off, and that was the fumble that resulted in that fumble 6, the fumble and rumble at the beginning of the game. But, I mean, 21 points in the second quarter and then ending up pretty much running it out in the third quarter. And, I mean, I think they had, 5? I'm counting them, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 straight possessions with a touchdown. 6 straight. After I think their first 3, 4, 5 resulted in a punt or a turnover. So Kansas City, when they're playing their best, can be Super Bowl contenders. But in the reality, I think the biggest thing is what happens if they play early on in games like against Buffalo, who they're going to be playing now, where they start off slow. Are they going to be able to come back, especially with the ability for the Bills to score? Buffalo
is not just going to be putting 1 touchdown on them. No. They're going to be putting 2 or 3. And I think if they come out slow at all, they're going to be kissing that goodbye because, Bills are a different breed. And I think as long as you kind of keep on going, I mean, obviously they won a Super Bowl and they went to a Super Bowl the following year. So they know what it takes to get there. And, like, they know what it's going to happen if, like, you start out slow and stuff. But how much are you going to be able to rely on Tyreek Hill, Travis Kelce, and Patrick Mahomes to, get you guys touchdowns when they're slow, and then you're going to have your defense step it up. And if they don't play good, then, playoffs are the time where you got to be on your best efforts all the time. And if you're not, even if you slip up once, that could cost you the game. So.
Yeah, exactly. But moving over to the NFC, Buccaneers beating the Eagles as expected, 31-15.
Not much to say about that one.
Nah, it was dominance from beginning to end. I mean, the Bucs showed why that they are the number 1 seed, and I mean, without some key guys, I mean, they had some offensive line that got banged up early on in this game, but I mean, they still, the backups, the reserves came in, played pretty well. I mean, there was a couple of times where you were worried, like when Tom was in there at the end of the game and you were saying, oh my gosh, why is he in the ball game? Like, if he gets hurt, it's over. But, I mean, Tampa Bay is just, they look like the team to beat. I mean, it's going to be really interesting to see how they face up against their opponent, which we'll get into in just a moment. But, I mean, really, Tom Brady is just hard to bet against in the playoffs at any sort of year, regardless of his team. Because he's lost Godwin, he's lost AB, and I don't know how many times that they've had a lineman go out of the game, but he somehow gets that team together, gets them ready, and I mean, these guys really are playing their best for him right now, and I mean, it's just incredible to see what he's doing at such an old age.
Yeah, exactly. Every time I see Tom Brady, like, my dad is like, I don't like Tom Brady, but I respect him because he's like, he wants Tom Brady to retire, and I was like, dude, Tom Brady's not retiring until he's 50.
Yeah.
Like, if he's able to put up 45 touchdowns in a year at age 44, he's past his prime, like, I would say, like, mobility-wise, if you know what I'm saying. Like, just because he's not young anymore. But I don't think he's anywhere past his prime in, like, leading a team to, like, a Super Bowl. I think, like, he probably has, like, 1 or 2 more in him, I think. And, like, especially against the Eagles, which is kind of like a gimme game for the first round. But, I mean, they're one of the top seeds, so it doesn't really matter. But I mean, 31-15, it kind of showed out like he's still ready to play. Like he can still dominate a team that is not very good. And wait, who do they play next week?
They will be playing the Los Angeles Rams, who beat the Cardinals.
That's gonna be a tough one.
34-11, and we know
Rams beat them early in the year. So
yep. So it's gonna be interesting. I know Joe is definitely gonna be. You're picking the Rams, right? You're sticking to your home run week 1 pick, right?
Here's the thing. All right, I had to write an opinion piece of an article, and I wrote it on like. We're Lions fans are good with Dan Campbell. Like the future Lions are good in Dan Campbell's hands. And in one of them, I was talking about how we have like the Rams pick for this one, so we have 2 first-rounders. So then that made me think like, as far as the Rams go, we're not gonna have a great pick.
Yeah.
So, but also it's Matt Stafford. And I want Matt Stafford to get a ring.
Yeah, and if I remember correctly, you picked them as your dark horse Super Bowl champion.
I know. I think I got to stay with it. Dark horse Super Bowl champs. Goodness. I think the Rams are going to be able to. It's going to be close. I think it's probably going to be a high-scoring game. I don't know if, because like Tom Brady, I think is like one of the only guys who can kind of pick apart that Rams defense. Like just because, I mean, Kyler Murray just got absolutely pressured every single time he touched the ball. But I think it's going to be Rams. Are probably going to be scoring like 30. It'll be like I think it'll probably be the same thing, like a 34-24, kind of a repeat of what they had early in the season. But I don't know. I have like Rams. It's going to be close. Even though the Rams, if they keep on going, the pick depreciates in value. Either way, it's kind of a win some, you lose some. Because every single Lions fan is rooting for the Rams right now.
Yeah, I would say so. I mean, I like what Sean McVay's done with this team, and I really like the dynamic behind it. I mean, I went into this game with picking the Rams, and the Cardinals just looked, they don't look themselves anymore, and they really haven't since all the injuries and all the bugs going on in the middle of the week, so like 11 through 13, where things just really went off the rails. And you know what the number one contributor was, that right?
What?
The Lions and the score failure. That is the conspiracy on what derailed the Cardinals season. And I mean, you lose to Detroit, that's not good. But failing to put the score up and having a Twitter universe calling for your head doesn't help either. But, I mean, from that point on, I mean, hey, the humility ran them out of the playoffs in week 1. So, or I should say lack thereof. But, I mean, Cardinals still, they were proven to be the best team in the NFL. But at the end of the day, the Rams defense really showed them what's up. And Kyler's just a little, I mean, he looked a little too frantic. That's frankly, he looked a little bit too frantic. And I mean, those times, I mean, when you don't have your composure in these big games, these playoff games, you're in trouble.
Yeah,
and that's
true.
Exactly what happened.
Yeah, that's true. I don't know, when Cardinals, they kind of pooped the bed a little bit against the Lions. And I think that, like you said, kind of derailed their career, or not their career, but their season a little bit. So
yeah, it's going to be tough. But the final wild card game on Sunday, the most talked about, I would say, hands down, our upset. What happened? San Fran, 23-17 over Dallas.
I forgot who I said about this.
We know some stuff.
Did I say 49ers?
You did. We all did around the table.
Let's go.
Yeah.
Don't worry, Cowboys fans. Just go root for the Yankees, the Lakers, or somebody else who's...
Yes, but hey, you know what that means, right? We all almost went undefeated in our picks last week. I was 6-0. Trav was 6-0 because he stuck it all off my paper, and then you were 5-1 as well. So hey, that's pretty solid.
Yeah, because I said I said Pats, Patriots,
which is a very realistic pick. I mean, you don't bet against Belichick in the playoffs most of the time, but this team was just not quite ready yet. But San Francisco, Dallas, I mean, frankly, 49ers started off red hot, scored 10 straight in the first quarter. And, I mean, from then on, I mean, they had that Cooper touchdown with about 5 minutes to go in the second. You're like, okay, this could be a game. And then they come back. They answer with the field goal before the half. It just looked like they were dominating the trenches. And then, I mean, the Cowboys defense, I mean, I'll give them credit. They stepped up a little bit there in the fourth quarter to give their team back in it. I mean, they scored 10 points in that fourth quarter to get it within a score.
Yeah.
But they killed themselves. They killed themselves. The Cowboys were a better team on paper. The 49ers team, I trusted the 49ers because I loved what I saw from that new scheme. And frankly, that team is playing really good, disciplined, fundamental football. And I mean, that is something that I really like seeing from playoff teams when the chips are down. You're not going to necessarily have the fall apart like the Cardinals have more talent than fundamentals as opposed to the Niners. It's a difference. But Cowboys are not a disciplined enough team. They committed 14 penalties in this game, and there was times where the McCarthy call on the draw at the last play of the game, there was just dumb mistakes. That's really all it was. Cowboys were a better team. Undisputed Super Bowl contender.
Yeah.
And they just blew it away by no one else but themselves.
Yeah, especially with the old Dak play at the end.
Yeah. But
what was he doing?
Was that a right call to call a draw?
I think it would have been good if he just scrambled to the outside, because from where he was at when he slid, there was an open lane to the sidelines. And when he got there, it would have been about 7-8 seconds that was left on the clock, and they would have still had the first down, and it would have been a solid spot. But I don't know why he decided to go, slide, give it to his center when the judge has to touch the ball first. Like, that's just a thing that, like, a leader, and especially a seasoned vet like him, like, that's been playing in the league for a long time and has been playing football for all of his life, like, you should know that, like, in those situations, especially when you're trying to drive down and get in a better field position with less than a minute left and you have no timeouts, get to the outside, get there, and if that doesn't happen, get the ball to the official first. Yeah. And especially don't get out of the official's way. Don't let the official run into you, so it's even worse. Yeah. But I don't know. That's the one thing. I know Cowboy fans are disappointed, but like I said, go root on the Yankees or the Lakers or somebody else who's favored to win every year. Yeah.
This is I'll say on that play,
America's team.
I don't think it was that bad of a call personally, and I mean it sounds.
You mean calling the draw?
I mean, it wasn't.
I didn't hate it because he got far.
I didn't hate it. Some people hated it, and I was like, it kind of makes sense. You're thinking I think you were thinking a little too outside the box, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
But the reality is, if that play would have worked, I'm not just saying like you should go bury that call in a coffin right now and just delete it from society, whatever. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is the discipline of that play was not estimated correctly, because in reality, what does 10 extra yards do in a scenario where, I mean, you're at the 30 and the 20? I get that, but I mean 30 to 20 in a touchdown or nothing scenario, I mean hypothetically you're going to be throwing a ball that's close to a Hail Mary. It's a modified Hail Mary at that point. I mean, you're going to run routes, but they're going to put prevent back there. Everybody in Madden knows that plays Madden knows what coverage they're going to be in at the end of the game, right? You're going to have like a 5-long prevent in the end zone. What does an extra 5 yards get you when you have no timeouts?
Yeah.
Why didn't you slide 5 yards earlier? And not only that, you made the good point. The umpire has to touch it. So why are you going to make that transaction even happen? Why are you going to let that happen? Like, you got to just give the umpire and then they're like, oh, well, he was behind the play.
You had like 3 or 4 more.
You wait for him, then he puts the ball down, and then you get a snap. That saves 2 seconds instead of clustering it, ready to give it to the center, and we're now trying to make the snap, but you can't because you got to wait for the umpire to get in. Now there's a cluster. Oh, my gosh, now, and that game over. Yeah, that's exactly what happened.
That's the one thing is, like, especially when your mind is going like a mile a minute trying to come back, or a million miles a minute. A mile a minute is very slow. Yes. A million miles a minute.
Very slow.
And like everything's just bounced around your head and stuff like that. It's important for a guy like him who's the leader of the offense to, be able to kind of stay cool under pressure, make the right decisions. And it's like, you would think it would be tough to do, which it is, but if you're a guy who's a franchise quarterback and is like expected to do this, then like you need to be able to like, slow down, take a breath, like where you like take a break, but just like make it so that way your head isn't like thinking about all these things. It's tunnel vision on one thing, or not tunnel vision either. It's like just you're aware of everything, but you're able to keep it in a way where you're not like messing up your focus. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. It sounds a little bit weird, but you like as a guy like Dak Prescott, you got to be able to do that.
Yeah, Cowboys underplayed. That is 100%. I think what everybody would admit at this game. I'll make a bold prediction right now. What is it? 12:36 p.m., January 18th. Mark it down right now. Cowboys will not have any coordinator or coach that they have from this game next season. No McCarthy, no Dan Quinn, no Kellen Moore. Kellen Moore will get another job somewhere. Dan Quinn will get another job somewhere as a head coach, and Mike McCarthy will be sitting on his couch next year.
Yeah.
There you go. That's my bold take for maybe January. Maybe I'll make another one next week. Who knows? I mean, bold calls are fun, especially when you get them right. But anyway, to round out the show, we'll go back to the hardwood. Men's college basketball at the Division I level is something we haven't discussed enough, so we'll get into that here at the last couple moments of this show. Right now, Gonzaga's now reclaimed the number 1 spot after Baylor losing 2 straight after a 15-0 start, and you know how much I like Baylor, Joe. But I think, honestly, Auburn is a team that I'm really excited to watch this year. I mean,
Auburn's killing it, dude.
They're at 16-1. They're on a huge winning streak right now of 13 games. 13
dubs in a row.
Woo, dog. I mean, that's impressive stuff. But I mean, Purdue looks good as well. Wisconsin's getting up there behind the big performance in Johnny Davis. And I mean, frankly, right now, what team's sparking your eye here that could be making a big run here towards the end of March?
I really liked Purdue at the start. And just kind of like when they got number 1 for the first time in their school history, I was like, oh, yeah, Purdue will do pretty good. And then they lost to Rutgers, and they kind of had like a little bit of slow. I mean, they're on a 3-game win streak right now. But, I mean, it's still 4, so they're not too bad. I'm really looking forward to what Baylor's going to be able to do. I think they have a good chance of going back-to-back. Duke is kind of surprising. I wasn't thinking that they were going to be able to come back, especially with Coach K's gone, right?
Yeah.
Especially with, it's the beginning of a new era, so like their whole program's kind of going through a revamp. So I'm excited to see where they're going to be able to do, especially later on in the season, if they're going to be able to crack that top 5, and if they're able to get back to maybe 1 or 2. It's only if Gonzaga kind of slows it down and Auburn slows down a little bit. And then another team too is I'm honestly excited for Michigan State to kind of see where they're at. I mean, Rocket Watts, I think he's transferring, or he is already transferred. I haven't really been following them too close. I think they have, but I thought I heard that somewhere. But, Michigan State, they had a little bit of slow one last year, especially ever since Cassius Winston left, they were kind of a little bit slow. But, I don't know, they're looking pretty good, so I'm pretty excited to see what they're able to do.
I was unfortunately going to mention to you that Rocket Watts is no longer with our MSU. He's with another MSU, Mississippi State. But I mean, their guard play has been great. I mean, we saw the big buzzer-beating win for Joey Hauser and the Spartan crew. I'll be frank, they've been a really good team. Definitely not definitely the best Division I team in our state. That's for sure. I mean, Michigan does not look good right now. I'll just say this: like, Michigan State has a younger team that's polished, that has a lot of great fundamental play. I mean, we've seen it hands down from all these games that they've played. And I mean, they haven't like blown teams out of the water, like per se. I mean, they really they only beat a couple conference teams. They beat Minnesota by 8. They beat Penn State by 16. They beat Northwestern by 6. They beat Nebraska by 13. They're not blowing teams out of the water per se. But you don't have a question they're going to win because they're playing high-quality basketball right now. And, I mean, that team right now, Tom Izzo's squad, they always play hard. They always play efficiently, and they always get the job done. And, I mean, you got to respect what he's built right now because, I mean, you got guys like Gabe Brown, Max Christie, Malik Hall, Joey Hauser, as mentioned, Marcus Bingham, our little buddy that was brothers of Mike Kell, who plays for Ferris State as well.
Hey-o.
And then Mike Peterson, our favorite player as well. But, I mean, that team looks really good right now. Michigan has the young talent that is extremely raw. And they're not polished enough yet to make a huge run in March. Mm-hmm. I said, there's still time to turn it around. Yeah,
I mean, 7 and 8. Like you said, there's still plenty of time, so they could really make a push for, later in the season, get a good spot for the Big Ten Conference tournament.
Yeah.
Man, I can't talk today.
Yes.
It's 12:40, but I feel like I just woke up.
I know.
But, I don't know. They are definitely... It sucks because I just wish that they'd be playing better and, like, it was just another one of those good years, especially, like, last year and stuff like that. But, hate to see it. We'll see how they do. But, there's always later in the season. A lot of season left, a lot of games left to play. They're not going to be easy, but I think if they really dig down, get some grit, they'll be able to do fine.
Absolutely, it's for sure. Oh, I didn't take my pick for March team. I really like what I saw from Auburn. I love the way they play. I guess you could consider them a contender right now, so I can't really put them as my selection. But I will say this: Illinois has done pretty well without Ayo Dosunmu leaving, and then not having Andre Curbelo for the last couple of weeks. They've still been playing really well. So you could always see that team going up. But, I mean, I've been really impressed as well with what Wisconsin has done. I'll be frank with that. I mean, Johnny Davis is one of the best players in college basketball right now. He could be undisputably the best player in college basketball because he has really willed this Wisconsin team. Because, I mean, they've always been good, but they've never been, like, truly great. And this year right now, they're looking great right now. I mean, they've only had a couple losses this year. One of them was at Ohio State, which is really a tough place to play. Yeah. And I believe against Providence early in the year. That's only 2 losses. And, I mean, they got Ohio State back at home by 10 this last week. They beat Maryland. They beat Iowa. They've beaten some really quality teams. And, I mean, Wisconsin always seems like they have, like, the same team forever. Mm-hmm. But they always figure out a way to get the job done when it comes to making a little bit of a run in March with that experience.
Yeah.
So I like them as my dark horse as of now, but of course in 2 weeks that will change. But thank you guys for tuning in. We appreciate your view. Make sure you follow, subscribe on whatever podcast platform you are on, and make sure you follow us on social media and be tuning in for our next episode coming up the end of the week. There might be a player interview. There might be an MV3 as well. You will just have to wait and see. But until next time.
Take care, everybody.